happy Zelda weekend. We have been playing Tears of the Kingdom probably for like the whole time it's been out. Like we have not stopped, right? You've been playing all day. I've been playing all day.
We have pulled ourselves away from Tears of the Kingdom to make this great video about Tears of the Kingdom.
About Tears of the Kingdom. I know. It was hard to do. It's been really fun, especially with this game, since we have worked at Nintendo for over 10 years apiece. It's hard for us to experience these big Nintendo games fresh. And this is like the first one for us. So we are super excited to like have this new experience with a huge Nintendo game. And it was fun to be surprised. And we want to share that with you.
Yeah, and we knew so little about this game going in, collectively, all of us. It's natural that we're going to be surprised, but there's 5 things in particular that really stood out to us that we want to talk about.
Yes, so let's start with number one of my favorite things, and something that I was very, very curious about as I was, thinking about this game coming out is how is it going to open? Zelda games usually have a pretty like formulaic opening. Link usually is maybe asleep somewhere. Maybe he's opening his eyes because of a disembodied voice. There's a sort of a way you think about Zelda games beginning. So this was a point of interest and curiosity for me. We're not going to spoil anything here. If you have not played the game, we'll let you experience this magical opening for yourself. But I was just really surprised by the way that a Zelda game opened. I was just like, oh, this is really different. I didn't expect that.
I was too. And actually, to me, this feels like outside of maybe a Xenoblade game, like one of the most cinematic game moments that I've seen in a Nintendo game maybe ever.
Absolutely. I was so surprised at how cinematic that opening was. And I think we were really hopeful that the game was going to be more cinematic, especially after that last trailer that we saw that got us all frothy and excited. But yeah, we were hoping for something more, cinematic, dramatic. And I think that's what we got. And again, without spoiling anything, I really love just even the way they treated the text.
Yeah.
In the very beginning. It's the most simple thing, but it felt
very
so
impactful.
It felt so classy. It felt so impactful. It felt like you were like, you really were pulled into this big adventure, and you're starting to get like really ratcheted up in terms of like your emotions. Like, yes, I'm so ready to take on this big adventure and be on this journey, and it's such a great way to open a game. So I was super impressed.
I agree
about it.
It was just a super sophisticated opening, again, for a game where you think it's like, oh well, it's just open world, so it'll just plot me out and I'll be doing anything. It's like, no, this was really like taking you through that experience in a super skillful, masterful way.
Yeah, totally. Well, I'm glad that we both had the feelings when we saw the opening. I think that the next thing, and I'm going to go a little out of order on our list, so don't freak out, is where you open to, which is these sky islands that we've heard about. We've seen some gameplay of, obviously, so we kind of know kind of a little bit what they look like and what maybe they would be. I think a lot of us are thinking like, oh, it's just going to be sort of like another Great Plateau kind of thing where you're in a confined space and then they sort of teach you how to play the game. And it is quite like that, but I think the thing that struck me the most about the Sky Islands is just like how much homey it feels to me. I think it's because we started there and we like learned all we learned, and we like went through the things that Link was going through on the Sky Islands with him, like that sort of opening sequence of gameplay. Now I'm very like attached, and when I think about like my home, I'm like, my home is the sky. Like, it's not Hyrule, which is so weird. I never thought that would happen.
Well, the Great Sky Island is really big, and you're spending literally hours there learning the ropes. Again, we didn't know, how is this game going to open? And you could have thought, like, well, we did the Great Plateau. We know everything we need to know. They're going to give me these new powers. They're just going to turn me loose. Like, no, you have to go through this very designed experience. It's based around Link's limitations of these new powers that he's getting. And it's really fun. Those constraints are legit. Like, you have 3 hearts. You have these powers that you don't totally know how to use. You don't get them all right away. So you're
naked. You're basically naked.
Also naked. You really do get attached. It's like it's you and your wits, and you got to get through this.
Yeah, and it really is kind of teaching you sort of the foundational basics of this game, and you're learning it through your your like test on the Sky Island, or whatever you want to call it, your training on the Sky Island. So it felt very significant when I left the islands, and as soon as I landed in Hyrule, I'm like, kind of want to go back to the Sky Island. Like I immediately felt like homesick for the Sky Island, which is again really bizarre because we spend so much time in the world of Hyrule and Breath of the Wild, and we love it. It's beautiful. It's still beautiful. We still love it. But like, I'm just itching to go back up to the sky, like as fast as possible. It's so weird.
That opening in the Great Sky Island is almost like a game within a game. Like they could release that to the point where you jump down for like, I don't know, $20, and it's like that's an awesome game.
It's like an indie game.
Yeah.
It's like
that's super cool.
A fall vibes indie game right there would be like the Great Sky Island, like little mini game. Maybe you become a bird and you fly around. I just described short hub. Anyways.
Number 3.
This is yours. Underground.
Which is,
you went underground.
You told me something you have not experienced yet. So this really, they did not talk about pre-launch much at all. Like some people hinted like, oh yeah, there's these caves, but it was not clear the extent to how large these were and how all-consuming these can be. So around the ground level on Hyrule, there's just these great chasms, which is just like these gaping holes in the ground.
Yeah.
And you can just jump down those, and you go down, like you're floating for like 10 seconds until you hit the bottom. And when you do, it's like you are at the bottom of the ocean because it is pitch black. You have to lay down those seeds to create light. Eventually, there's something you can do to create more permanent light in bigger places, which are kind of like activating the towers of filling out the map. It looks very foreign, like otherworldly, almost alien, like the bottom of the ocean. And it just goes. I thought like, oh, well, you know, I'll do the thing to solve this and I'll come back out. Like I walked and I walked and I walked, and it's like basically mirroring the size of the topside world underground. Mm-hmm. So you've got some work cut out for you when you finally go down there.
Did you get out?
Yeah. I mean, you can still fast travel out, no problem. But it's like a whole other layer. So there's really like 3 full layers of the world, and that's how the map is presented. Is like there's these 3 layers that you can cycle through. But I was not prepared for how big that underground was, and I'm not even counting any of like the ground level caves that you find.
Right. I've seen the chasms. I have been told
they're intimidating.
To go investigate them. I walked over to the edge of one. I peered over the edge. I scared the crap out of another Hylian person. I was like, I don't think Link should talk to this person, but of course that's the prompt. And then that guy is like, I just fell in. Like, why did you do that? It's like so rude. And I was immediately scared off. I was like, no, I can't do this right now. I don't have enough hearts. I'm gonna die down there. So it does feel very foreboding. You get the sense of danger and mystery, and it's amazing that to hear you say that it's that massive. It's just like amazing to think about how
it's good though. I mean, Zelda's been always about, you know, poking around in the dark, adventuring in the dark. So it's good that original spirit of the games is reflected here.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's great that it's sort of this sky, land, underground, sort of the sandwich.
It's a Hyrule sandwich.
It's a Hyrule
Delicious.
sandwich.
Take a bite out of it.
It's so good. So toasty. All right. We both agree on this one, and it's kind of what we're talking about. It's like there's a lot of people in and around Hyrule for you to interact with, for you to talk to. There's some very humorous characters, some that are not so humorous, but it does feel like it's full of life, which is really great, because sometimes Hyrule can feel very empty, and it's not like that at all in this game.
Very different from Breath of the Wild. I mean, Breath of the Wild had, you know, villages. You would find some travelers out on the roads, but they were few and far between, and the villages felt like, oh, this is not really like realistically sustaining this kingdom. And there were a reason why there were fewer, but in this game, like, you find a lot. Like, you go first to that little settlement outside of Hyrule Castle, and it's bustling, and you can talk to all those people. There's stuff to do. It's like, wow, this is a major change.
Exactly. There's so many different, like, vendors, and just, like, it feels like a thriving, or, like, a town that's been functioning as part of this world. Like, before, I always felt like Hyrule Castle must be deserted. Like, no one lives there, you know? Like, you never see anybody there. It's just like this deserted castle. Like, how boring. But now when you go, you're like, oh, there's like officer ranks. Like there's a captain, and there's like people that work under the captain, and then there's the research people, and all those different like functions of like a government or whatever, or like a kingdom. And it's fun to get to know all these characters. You meet a lot of characters out on the road as well to do fun little side quests, and some of them are really funny, and some of the little side quests are just like for humor purposes, and some of them are more serious, but it all feels very lively, and like this world is full of different people and creatures and stuff like that.
Yeah, and then you add to the fact that you've got these sort of quests or battles where you get teamed up with somebody else, and you do feel much more so than in Breath of the Wild that it's not just you alone in this world, which is again a really nice evolution.
Yeah, totally, and definitely surprising to us. Okay, last thing on our list is something that we disagree with, actually, which is we were very curious about, some of Link's new abilities, the Ultra Hand, some of the things that we've seen in trailers or in demos, finally getting a chance to try it for ourselves. We both have some differing opinions about this. Now, you think what?
Well, it's funny. So I said, here's my list for this video. And I said, I think Ultra Hand is a lot easier than people made it out to be. And you said, I disagree completely.
I cannot disagree with you more, because I think Ultra Hand is more complicated than I ever imagined. Maybe I'm just doing it wrong. Maybe when we're together next, you're going to show me how you're doing it, because I'm having a hard time with this. Like, maybe my brain doesn't work in this way. I don't know.
This was something I was worried about when the previews for the game came out, and people were kind of hinting at this of like, it's cool, but you really do need to get the hang of it. For me, the main thing that I needed to wrap my mind around was rotating things, because initially it seems like, gosh, I just can't get this to rotate the way that I want it. But once I figured out, like, if I approach it and pick it up from different angles, I can absolutely do what I want. And then from there, all the other pieces are very intuitive. It's very easy to stick things together or take them apart. So again, once I got over that hump of how to properly rotate and position things, I've been finding it pretty easy and intuitive.
Yeah, I have a hard time with the spatial 3D. It's almost like looking at like a 3D model of something and understanding your brain, like how to put that 3D model together. I was in a shrine. I actually gave up on the shrine because I was so frustrated that when I was doing it was one of those kind of like an Ultra Hand heavy puzzle where you had to construct all these bits and pieces together to make something to solve it. And I kind of knew what I had to do, but it was so complicated like for me to spatially construct this thing and to get it to do what I needed to do that I like gave up. I was like, oh, I can't do this right now. I'm going to come back to this later. My brain was not like functioning in that moment to even do it. So I don't know. I maybe I just need a little bit more time to get used to it or to play around with it more. But yeah, even when I'm like moving around the puzzle to try to grab it in the right locations to rotate it or whatever, I'm still having quite a hard time.
Stop pretending. We all know you were trying to build a 50-foot colossus with a flame-breathing appendage. You gotta work your way up to that. Okay, that's not for beginners.
That actually looks pretty easy to build, honestly.
Oh,
that spatially I get. Okay.
Start with that then, maybe.
I was not trying to yeet a Korok or build a 50-foot straw man, but yes, I'm having a bit of a hard time. But I think I'll get better with practice.
I agree.
So I will keep practicing. It's fine. It's not like it's making me, frustrated with the game. There's some puzzles that are hard for me that I just take a break when I need to. So, no big deal there, but getting used to some of these new controls.
There you have it. There's our list of 5 things that surprised us in Tears of the Kingdom.
Yes. Tell us what things are surprising you if you are playing Tears of the Kingdom. Leave them in the comments below. We'll be back with lots more Tears of the Kingdom stuff, I am sure. But we're going to wrap this up here. I'll see you guys later. Bye.
Bye.